for liftoff in T-minus 30.
Stand by for further instructions, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment.
Secondary guidance systems engaged.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, it will be on my mark.
All systems are a go. All systems are a go.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, you are over the target. You are authorized to fire at will.
Hey, hello, how are you? I was thinking about doing this all fancy. I was going to come in with a button-up shirt and, no hat on. And then I was like, nah, everybody's used to me like this. And quite honestly, that would have been just like way too serious because I want this to be enjoyable tonight. So, yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do me. And we're going to enjoy. We're going to enjoy this build up here. Oh, it's a quorum and it's present.
Justice, the members of the Supreme Court, and the Chief Judge of the Court of Appeals to the front of the chamber.
Oh, look at all this pomp and circumstance. We want so hard to be seen as so important, don't we? It's Republicans and the Democrats. We love our pomp. Hey, Diane, thanks for stopping in.
You may be seated.
He's going to start speaking here in about 10 minutes, but I just like to build up. I like to see how we act so very European in our pursuit, right? So we fought a war against England, a little over 200 years ago to be free from all their crap, and look at us. We act just like them. Hi, Judson. Everybody meet Judson. Judson, thanks for stopping in. And those of you who I can't see, thanks for stopping in. Hey, if you're here, say hi. Let's get to know each other a little bit before Commissar Walz of the People's State of Marxisota comes in and starts to bloviate. Deliver the state address. Tell us just how wonderful things are here in the state of Minnesota with his near $10 billion surplus. If you're not familiar or not aware, while we're waiting, I have a coffee for sale and I have some merchandise for sale. A portion of my proceeds until the end of the month will go to the 22-0 Foundation to help prevent suicide, veteran suicides, which are extravagantly high, if you will. So you have until the end of the month to order Yes, the Honorable Blaha, who likes to drink with and drive with open
Members, will you please
containers in her
stand? The
vehicle and
sergeant
then
at arms
try
will
and...
escort the constitutional officers to the front of the chamber.
Yeah, for those of you don't know, Blaha had a rollover accident last summer after leaving Farm Fest, and they found an open can of White Claw. She should have been removed from office for drinking White Claw, to be honest with you, but you know, that's where we are. Oh, and there's the attorney girlfriend and beater and oh wait, no, attorney general, no, the general girlfriend beater. Oh yeah, general girlfriend beater, Keith Ellison. His son sits on the city council of St. Paul, and or is it Minneapolis? One of the two, and he is a devout Antifa member. He loves Antifa. And so these are the people that are leading the state of Minnesota right now. Like, leading the state of Minnesota. Yeah, Judson says, if they want to be so formal, they should have to wear powdered wigs. Yes, I agree. But that's also misogynistic and bigoted of you. Everybody tell Judson how much of a bigot he is. My friend Duke, former Republican legislator, is watching. He says, "Look at how empty the seats are. It's unheard of." And it is. It's pretty unheard of. I don't know how much of it is a sign of disrespect to Tyrant Timmy, or how much of it is people still living in fear of the coof. I would say it's probably a combination of both. Tyrant Timmy is not well liked by the conservative wing of the Republican Party. Judson, okay, they can wear whalebone corsets also. That's just gross. These people are so boring. Like, you know what, this is how they're different. There's no, like, they're not like yelling insults at each other back and forth like they do in the House of Commons or in Parliament even. We need some good insults.
The chair recognizes the sergeant at arms.
I would hope you recognize him. He's been working for you for quite a while. Why is Mark...
Members, will you please stand?
Dayton
The sergeant
there?
at arms will escort the former governor to the front of the chamber.
Why does the former governor get such... Why? And ladies and gentlemen, I'd also like to introduce you to Mark Dayton, one of the wealthiest men that's ever lived in the state of Minnesota, and a darling of the left. A darling of the left. Yes. All right, Mark. Mark's wife is a looker. That is definitely some gold digging going on there. Yeah, I said it. No, Mark, please sit down before you hurt yourself. No, Mark, please sit. Somebody help the man. Sit down, Mark. Hey, who wants to jump in the stream with me?
You may be seated.
Glad she told Mark to be seated. I'm afraid he would forget it was okay for him to sit down, and at his age, if he breaks a hip, nothing comes out but dust. What the heck kind of wave was that? Speaker of the... What? Did you see that? What is it? What is it with people like this? Why do they wait? Hi. Oh gosh, this is so like this might actually be more exciting than the speech, except the speech is just going to make me mad, and I'll say all sorts of I'll say on sort of untoward things, things that need to be said. But I'm going to try and say it with some cheek, some snark. Yeah, let's get something exciting going. Oh, 2 minutes away, ladies and gentlemen. Here he comes. With all the pomp and circumstance, or pompous asses.
Madam President,
The chair recognizes the Sergeant at Arms.
I have the honor to announce the arrival of the Honorable Peggy Flanagan, Lieutenant Governor of the state of Minnesota.
Members, please stand. The Sergeant at Arms will escort the Lieutenant Governor to the front of the chamber.
Yeah. I have to wave like that because they're trying so hard to grip those socialist policies. Yeah, robot's gonna robot. Yes, yes indeed. What is she wearing? She looks like a giant polka dot circus tent.
You may be seated.
What's it made out of? It looks like some sort of poly material, like not polyester either, like some sort of like polyurethane or something. Who wears that to a formal event like this? What in the world? Oh. What polka dots? Wanda. Oh, you're a sweetheart, Wanda. Well, it looks like this is going to be very interesting. Thanks for your which part's going to be interesting, Wanda? My commentary or the way they dress? Yeah, ID says it's a Batman.
The chair
That's
recognizes
bad-
the Sergeant at Arms.
Batman bad guy outfit. That's exactly right.
I have the honor to announce the arrival of the Honorable Tim Walz, Governor of the state of Minnesota and his official party.
Members, please stand. The Sergeant at Arms will escort the Governor and his official party to the front of the chamber.
His official party. Well, Kent, he was better than what we've got now, but that's like saying skin cancer is better than toenail cancer. I don't know. I wonder if the guy in uniform, not the State Patrol security officer, but I wonder if the guy in uniform behind Walz is sitting there as a reminder to Walz that he abandoned his soldiers when they were about ready to deploy. And this is coming from a guy who had a lackluster military experience. I was a nobody. So, like, seriously, it looks like a bunch of teenage girls walking down hugging each other. We have all this pomp and circumstance, but they still have to act like it's a high school reunion. Oh, I haven't seen you since like the last time we weren't locked down. I wish I could see Eric Mortensen in the audience because the last time I saw Mortensen in chamber and Walz showed up to hand out cupcakes, Mortensen called him on his behavior. This is gonna be fun. Oh, look Keith looks oh my gosh, he's my hero.
Where is she?
No, they can't have a red carpet. They'd have to roll out a blue carpet. No, here we go. There you guys.
You may be
Everybody ready?
seated. Members of the Joint Convention and guests, I present to you the Governor of the State
Tyrant,
of Minnesota, the
Timmy
Honorable Tim Walz.
Walz. Okay, can I clap? No, can I clap? Can I clap? You just sat down. You just told them to sit down. Why are they back up? The judges shouldn't be clapping. The judges should be remaining neutral.
Thank you all.
This is where I want all of my QAnon friends to come in and tell me that this is a
Madam
body
Speaker
double.
and members of the Minnesota House of Representatives, Mr. President, and members of the Minnesota Senate, Madam Chief Justice, distinguished members of the Minnesota Supreme Court, Chief Judge Siegel, my fellow constitutional officers, Governor and Mrs. Dayton, welcome back.
Yes, it is.
You were welcome anytime these last 2 years. Distinguished tribal leaders, Chief Executive Melanie Benjamin
Boy,
of the
that's a
Mille
loaded
Lacs Band of
statement, isn't it?
Ojibwe.
Tribal leaders.
And President Johnny Johnson of the Prairie Island Indian Community.
Yeah, the Prairie Island Indian community where Governor Walz allegedly
To the
disappeared to
escorts
so
in
he
the
could have a
Minnesota State
Thanksgiving
Patrol and the
get-together while
Minnesota
everybody else
National
was told
Guard.
they'd go to jail if they got together. He looks angry right now.
Father Yvonne, blessed Easter, and know that the state of Minnesota stands united with the people of Ukraine.
What? Why? Why are we standing united with the Ukrainian people in Minnesota? What about the Russian people in Minnesota? What? I don't mean to be a... Yeah, you know, let's be honest here. There are plenty of good Russian citizens who have family members in Russia who are suffering because of the sanctions that we put in place, who aren't responsible for the
Lieutenant
war.
Governor Peggy Flanagan. I'm clapping on that one. I'm doing it. I got you.
Why? Why are you clapping on that one?
And Minnesota's second gentleman, Tom Weber.
Yeah, that tells you a lot right there, doesn't it?
Hi, Siobhan. I did not forget. And Siobhan. So good to see you. Minnesota's First Lady, Gwen Walz.
He's clapping because he's surprised that she's still like showing up in
To the
public
many
with him.
guests and my fellow Minnesotans, this is my fourth State of the State address, but only the second one in this important chamber. And I think and I hope all of you felt as you walked in here tonight, and I know I did, the sense of history that goes with this and the sense that we're in this together, you can feel strongly. So I'm incredibly grateful. It's, I think, what Minnesotans are feeling. The sense of once again gathering together with friends and relatives and coworkers.
I don't know about
and doing the
anybody
important
else.
things of life, whether it's proms.
I
or
was gathering
graduations,
together with
sporting
everybody
events, or
during all of your
important business.
shutdowns, so
The
I
last
don't
2 years
I don't
have been
relate to any of
incredibly
this.
challenging. So not being in here for those 2 years, I know there's many of you are deeply disappointed. You did not get to come on a Sunday night and listen to me talk.
No,
But I
no,
promise you
that's
over the
not
next
even a
3 to
funny
4
line.
hours,
No
I'll
one's
make it up to
disappointed
you.
in
So
not having to hear you talk.
they think I'm kidding. No. I will have to say, we know State of the State speech is an opportunity to reflect, but it's also an opportunity of where we're going in the future.
I don't like.
I don't need to say it. Every euphemism's been made.
this
The last 2
rate,
years
we don't
have been
have a
incredibly
future.
challenging. But in those challenges, both the people of Minnesota and these two bodies figured out a way in some of the most challenging circumstances
Can you hear how
states
he's
ever
having a hard
faced,
time breathing?
as one of only, for a long time, the only one of only 2 divided legislatures, we figured out how to get good things done for Minnesota together, not individually. Very difficult.
No,
to
we
do that,
didn't.
and
You
it's not
didn't.
supposed to
You
be
didn't
that
get
way.
anything
It's
good
supposed to
done
be
for
getting them done
Minnesota.
together.
You
So I think
destroyed
it's
our
important that we're
economy. You
reflecting.
threw Lisa
We should
Hansen in
reflect on our successes
prison.
together too. Our budget
For
reserves
90
have
days.
hit
Well, not
record
full
highs,
90 days.
and our COVID infections and hospitalizations have hit record lows. Together,
It hit record lows because they started
nationally,
adjusting
we
it
have the
properly
fifth lowest
instead of
unemployment rate
considering
among states,
everything
the
a
third
coof
highest
infection.
job growth, and one of the highest labor participation rates.
It's because people have to have 2, 3, 4 jobs right now, Timmy.
The leadership that's in front of me tonight,
To pay
working
for this
together,
$10 billion surplus you
reduced the
have.
price of insulin to save lives, increased education funding for every student.
Now, if you would
and
have
passed
allowed
the
ivermectin
largest
into the
jobs
state.
bill in state history. You did it together.
Tell your friends to watch this. I'm more fun than him.
Pick the energy up over here, and we did it by cutting taxes for the middle class all at the same time. We were able to pass.
What
the
are you
first
talking
middle class
about? I
tax cut
paid in
20
the last 4
all
years.
By delivering
The last
to
2
Minnesota.
years especially.
We've proven that compromises can work. We've proven that we can balance budgets.
compromises
and we've proven
don't
that we
work.
can invest in the future.
The
And
only time
because of that,
compromises work
I'm
is
here
when it
tonight
moves
to
the
tell you
Republicans
state
further
of
to
our
the
state
left,
is
which
strong
isn't
and
real hard to
moving
do
forward.
when you got guys like Gazelka and Dowd in leadership.
And to be clear, moving forward doesn't mean giving up on the tough issues. It doesn't mean glossing over things that we need to take care of.
Oh, this ought
What
to
it
be
means
rich.
is working together like we have so many times to solve those problems. It's not enough to point out a problem. It's not enough to come up with a cute slogan. We need to come up with solutions.
You mean like
and then we
Walz
need to get
checks? That's
results for
a
the
cute
people of
slogan.
Minnesota. That's what moving forward looks like.
Oh, yeah, clap. He said nothing. Why are we, like, he literally said nothing.
You all do the
I
same
need somebody
things
to
that
come in
I
here and
do.
watch this
You
with
have
me.
countless conversations, whether it's this morning at church or whether it's at a coffee shop or whether it's someone
Any church
stopping
that
you
would
on the
have you is
street.
no church at
And
all.
Minnesotans are hopeful and resilient people. They're also pretty innovative. We know that the solutions are out there.
Yeah, I had
We
to
know
start
that
selling
people are
coffee and
talking about
merchandise
these things.
because of
And
you.
the one thing that Minnesotans know, that if we invest in our people, we can't get it wrong. That's the opportunity that we have in front of us. So I would ask all of us, let's make that commitment to try and do the things that we're hearing from our constituents. We're hearing ideas from them.
How about
and we have
return
the
our money?
capacity to
Are your
make that happen.
constituents
Now, I wanna be
telling you
clear.
that? Return the
We may
money.
not
We would
agree
love to have
on
our
everything.
$10 billion back.
And if we're being totally honest, some
Omnibus?
of us won't
Boy,
agree
that
on
was
anything.
that was a clever slip
That
up.
is the reality. That is a democracy. That's the way some of this is.
We're not a
But we
democracy.
owe it
We're
to
a
the people of
republic,
Minnesota
even here in Minnesota.
to try and find common ground, to try and put some of those differences
Excuse me,
aside,
People's
to move
State
at
of
least some
Marxism.
things forward. I know it's frustrating. The fierce sense of urgency on big issues means that you want to go
What are
big.
some of the big issues?
But I
Could you
think in a
stop
divided
talking about it and get to it?
Legislature like this and the expertise we have in this room, there is a wide variety of solutions that can be implemented to solving that problem. And the way I see it, we could focus our energy in 3 areas. We can start thinking right now
Walz.
about investing in the future,
Peach
what
Ellison.
we need, that future workforce, what future
Peach,
generations are
Malcolm.
going to need to make Minnesota the best state in the nation to live, start a business, and enjoy the things that we have.
Nobody wants to
But we
start a
also
business
know,
here.
Coming out of the pandemic, nationally, globally, and here in Minnesota, there's urgent issues that we can't put off and need
Yeah,
to address
like
now.
getting people who are forced
And
out
then
of
we've got
business back in
unfinished
business. That'd be nice.
Things that we need to solve right now. And I want to discuss that, this issue of unfinished business. We know where people are at. We know that globally we're seeing
Well,
higher
what he
prices,
means by he knows
inflationary
where people
prices,
are at, it's
but
all
we know
the
it's
facial
impacting
recognition
families.
cameras and stuff that they've implemented
I've made
over
the
the last 2
suggestion,
years.
and I want to work with you on this. We should use some of this historic surplus, a big piece of it, to put money back in the pockets of working Minnesotans and those that are trying to make the bills work for them. And
Yeah. How about return the surplus instead of sending it out in checks to people who didn't pay in?
And I'll note, in the spirit of compromise, I believe one of the quickest, surest, and most fiscally responsible ways is to return that money right now, if we can do that. But I've said it
Yeah.
many times,
Return
and
it
I'll
to
say
the
it in
people
this
that paid
body.
in.
We can cut taxes for middle-class folks and folks trying to get into the middle class too at the same time.
See, listen to this pandering to the middle class and people below middle class. We're going to cut your taxes, but
I
we're really
wanna
going
be
to stick it
clear
to the
about
rich
this.
without saying it.
We can cut taxes for the middle class without cutting taxes for massive corporations and the wealthiest people in Minnesota. They don't need a tax cut.
You
And
just
I
said
think we
that
need
in
to
front of
be very-
Mark Dayton, by the way. That's awesome. Your buddy Mark. Of course, he probably doesn't even know who you are.
We've signed a tax cut together. We've made it work. But I think we should be very clear on this. Cutting taxes for the wealthiest amongst us will not guarantee opportunities in Minnesota for the wider variety
It
of folks.
absolutely
and it
will,
certainly
you
won't grow
moron.
our economy from
The
middle out.
wealthiest people
So
in
I ask
Minnesota
us, on
generate the
this pressing
jobs.
issue, folks need a little extra in their pocket right now. We're setting on this surplus. Let's come together in a compromise and see if we can maybe get some immediate
I'm gonna
relief
puke.
and talk about this issue of tax cuts for the middle class. We can do this.
No,
we
look
can
at
do
what-
this. This unites
We're
a
sitting
lot
on a
of us
surplus that you
around the
created by
issue.
taxing
So I
the
wanna
living
say that.
crap out of us, and
Before
now
we
you
do
want to
that,
give a tax
there are
cut
two
without
issues,
giving
and I
back the
know
money
it is
by handing out money to
it
people
is
who
the
didn't pay
elephant in
in.
the room and the donkey in the room, if you will.
Yeah,
We've
the
been
donkey in the
waiting
room, the
since
jackass
last May,
speaking.
where we made a determination that there were countless frontline workers who put more on the line than anyone else. They were out there during the pandemic doing the things to keep our state running and keeping us safe. And we made a joint effort together, passed and signed into law.
Yeah, all those
relief to
frontline
send them
workers at the
hero
grocery
checks.
store
We
that
need
were
to get
essential
that done
workers.
right now.
Yeah,
We need to get
those
that done.
essential workers. And all the medical people who are now without jobs because they don't want to be forced into they don't want to be forced into injecting something into their bodies. Don't cut taxes for the wealthy. Don't cut taxes for the corporate. Corporate. I'm not a corporatocracy guy, but yeah,
And
don't
we
cut
feel strongly about
taxes
this.
for them because they're
we
evil.
need to help Minnesotans economically. But this issue of frontline workers, there's people behind this. There's people behind every decision we do. We're
No
joined
kidding,
tonight by
moron,
someone I
really?
think many of you
It's
know,
not
Mary
like
Turner. She's an RN
artificial
nurse. In
intelligence on a
fact, she worked the
computer
night
somewhere?
shift last night in the emergency room. Mary and her colleagues have spent the last 2 years.
Oh, I
the
see a
early
mess.
part of the
Oh, hey, look at the
pandemic,
guy up
not
here.
only with
You
no
see him?
vaccines,
Up here?
but without
He's about ready to
adequate
fall
personal
asleep, mouth
protective
breather.
equipment. They went to work every single day to ensure that us and our loved ones had the very best care possible. And the results of what they did was Minnesota's death rates that came from this when someone's admitted to the hospital is one of the lowest in the nation.
Yeah, it's
Those
because
are
you
the
forced
folks
the
that
sick
we
people
said,
into care
"Let's give them
centers
a
where they
little
killed
extra
each
help."
other.
It's not winning the lottery. It's not a bonus. It's a thank you
You
on
and
behalf of the people of
California and
Minnesota that
Michigan
they
and New
serve,
York.
and we need to get this done.
Yeah.
Mary, thank you.
That's what happened. That's what happened. Tyrant, Timmy. Oh my gosh. She's in love. Gwen better watch out. Oh my goodness. Oh. She's a shill. I don't like her already. What is that?
I also want to
What is
add,
that?
though, there were an awful lot of
Lot of awful, yeah.
small business owners
Awful,
who put
O-F-F-A-L,
their
look it up.
livelihoods on the line, created jobs in our communities, and grew our economy, who suffered during the pandemic. And I can tell
Because
you
of
this,
you.
the Unemployment Insurance Trust Fund is one of the best anti-poverty programs that we have. And it was paid for by those businesses to support those workers at a time of need. It kept the rent paid. It kept food on
No,
the table.
it didn't. It didn't
And we
keep the
have a
rent paid. You
responsibility
put a
and the
rent
capacity
moratorium in place.
to
You wouldn't allow
replenish the
people to get
Unemployment
evicted for not
Insurance
paying
Trust
their rent.
Fund,
I got
both
friends in
for those small
Elderly.
businesses and for those
They
workers
own
who made it
rentals.
in the future.
They're going
I
to
ask
lose
us,
half their
let's do
rentals
this now.
because they
Let's
couldn't
do
pay
this
their
now.
mortgages because the people you told that they didn't have to pay their rent and they couldn't be evicted didn't pay their rent, and now these people are going to lose their buildings. And guess who's going to snatch those places up? Guess who? Just take a guess. Corporate real estate companies.
And once again, I would add, it's a debate. It's a fair debate. That's how democracy is supposed to work. It's a little bit messy and there's different
is
ideas.
it? How many times
But
did I ask you to
behind
come
us
on and debate
debating
me?
are
You
real
wouldn't do it
people.
because I'm
With
beneath
the
you.
hero checks, it was Mary. With the unemployment fund, it's in restaurants like Sammy's in North Minneapolis or Jude's in St. Cloud.
Or
I have
how
two
about the
small business
interchange
owners
in
here
Albert
tonight,
Lee?
Sammy McDowell and Donella Westfall. They went out of their way. They created jobs. They created their restaurant. They hired people. They took care of their workers. They kept the public safe, and they're doing everything they can to rebuild. They're simply asking us, let's get a
How about
compromise.
the
Let's get
business
this
owner,
fixed.
Lisa
Now is
Hansen, that
not
you
the time
forced out of
for Sammy
business
Donella to have a tax
through Keith
increase,
Ellison
and we can make sure
and Kelly
today
Don
that
Martinez
doesn't happen. So thank you both.
prosecuting her for crimes that were not technically crimes and throwing her in jail and stripping her of her business. You want to talk about a small business owner? Seriously? You want to talk about small business owners? What did you do to Lisa Hansen? What did you do to Levita McFarquhar? What did you do to Lisa Monet
And in
Zarza.
this debate, and
What
I
about
will
all the
name it
other
too.
small
I said,
business
there's an
owners? They're
elephant and a
never going to
donkey
get
in the
their
room.
businesses
there's
back.
us in the room as the executive branch. I understand that today progress is being made on this very issue. And if that is the case, what I would ask is, we're here, we have the opportunity. Speaker Hortman, Republican leadership in the Senate, we should get together. We're prepared. Let's work tonight. Let's finish this thing. We have a couple of things that fit together, a couple of things that serve Minnesotans. We have the resources to do it, and we can move Minnesota forward in a bipartisan
No, you have
manner.
the
So I would
resources
ask,
that you
if we're
stripped
getting close
from
to
us
a
through
compromise on
confiscatory
this,
taxes.
let's finish this deal and let's
under
finish
the
it
threat
now.
of force. Basically, if I don't pay my taxes, I go to jail. Oh my gosh, look at the rhinos standing up to agree to work. See, every single time the rhinos agree to work with the Democrats, they move further to the left.
Well,
And you
let's
know who
take care
gets
of that. We have
screwed?
the opportunity to get some
Rocks
money
and cows,
back in people's
Minnesota. That's who
pockets. We
gets
can
screwed.
compromise on how we do that. We can take care of that frontline hero pay and show Minnesotans.
They're
and
not
make sure
heroes.
we're retaining and
They're not
attracting
heroes.
those really talented
Working in
healthcare
a grocery
workers. We can do
store,
that,
being a
and we can take care of
nurse,
this
being a
UI trust fund
doctor,
issue.
being an
And that still
LPN,
leaves us
being a
about $6
CNA,
billion
being a
to move on
cop,
with the
being a
issues that we need to
firefighter. You're
deal
not a
with.
hero
That's
for just
this
doing your
biennium.
job.
So I
You
would
don't
ask you,
deserve
we
extra
know that
money.
we were left with issues coming out of the pandemic that need to be addressed. I don't think, as I hear some people say, is we can just put it off. We can't put some of these things off. We can't put off things that Minnesotans' needs are important. And I want to just be clear. The pandemic did not impact all of us equally. It impacted communities differently, and it left us challenges that we know we have to come together on. Every single Minnesotan has a story to tell on this. Lieutenant
Yeah, I have a
Governor lost
really good
beloved
story to
older
tell about
brother,
the crap
a
you
Marine,
put us through that
seemed
I stood up
invincible,
against and
strong,
lost a career
one of the
over.
first people to die in this. This body lost a beloved member. All of us have stories. All of us have the impacts of
My
this.
grandmother
And I know
died
this,
during this, and
the
we didn't
pandemic
get to
has
have a
caused
decent
rifts
funeral for her
between
because
all
of
of
your
us.
stupid
It has
rules.
caused rifts that seem almost insurmountable. My pledge to you is to try and listen, to try and work together, and to try and heal those rifts. Because the goal of everyone
There
in
is no
this
healing the
body
rift
and the
between
goal
us,
of everyone who is
traditional
a public servant,
conservative
is the health
Americans,
and
and
safety
you.
of our fellow Minnesotans. Now, we might not have the same idea how to get there, but we have to continue to follow the science and follow what we know can get us there to make those differences. And I want to point out, I know it's hard. I want to acknowledge my friend Shaletta Brundage is here tonight. Some of you know Shaletta. She served as a role model in her community. She's well-known
What is
media
she wearing?
personality. She is someone that
what
people
what is
listen
it?
to because she's earned that right. And I want to say, Shaletta spent the first year on the radio telling people not to get a COVID-19 vaccine. She had read and heard things that worried her. And as a Black woman, she's got a valid historical concern when it comes to this. But on her 15th birthday, Shaletta's son, Andrew, said all he wanted for his birthday was for mom to be safe.
Oh
And
my
asked her
gosh,
to
we're
do a
still
little more
beating this
work.
dead
And
horse.
she went and talked
We've
to her
been using
doctor.
this for a year and a
She went
half.
and talked to folks at different institutions. And she
Mom, for
decided
my
to get the
birthday, I want you to
COVID-19
get the
vaccine.
vaccine.
I want to acknowledge
It never
the
happened.
folks that
It never
things that
happened.
have
It
divided
never
us
happened.
And these very difficult issues about people's personal health decisions and how they think things going forward are a challenge. But I think we can work through them with grace and dignity and try and get as much good information out as we can.
Like the
Shaletta
grace and
has since
dignity
gone
I
on
was
her
treated
radio
with
show
under your
and talked
under
to people
your
about the importance of getting the COVID-19 vaccine and save lives.
decision
And I say
making.
thank you.
So her claim to fame is getting a shot so her son could celebrate his 15th birthday the way he wanted to celebrate it. And so now she gets the spotlight.
And for all of us, and I include myself in every one of these
I'm pretty
discussions,
sure I'm glad
trying
she's
to listen
wearing
and
that
learn.
facial covering.
And to try and be patient with one another as we understand what it looks like going forward. I especially ask us to be patient and supportive of those who continue to be the caregivers of this state. The pandemic made it very clear.
Oh,
that we
patient and
cannot
supportive of the
function in this state
caregivers?
without amazing people.
Then why didn't you
who
step
care
in
for our
to
children,
ask Mayo
who
to
care
not
for our
fire the
seniors,
people that were the
and who
most
care for our
dedicated?
most vulnerable and those that keep us safe in our communities.
You know how many thousands of people lost their jobs because of that? You didn't step in and tell them to be patient and giving there.
I think we all will
Watch some of my
agree on
videos,
how
Timmy.
important they were,
The thousands
but we
of
need
people
to acknowledge that even prior
that
to the
marched
pandemic,
around Mayo
but especially
complaining about
during the
Mayo's
pandemic,
policy.
the workforce issues around these jobs have been exacerbated. And we have the capacity, the private sector has the capacity, our nonprofits have the capacity, and our budget shows that we can address these very issues.
No, your
I wanna
budget
talk
shows that
first
you're
of all
ripping off the hardworking
just a little bit
taxpayers of the state
about
of
childcare.
Minnesota, and now you want to
many of
give it
us
to the
a little
lows
bit older, but
who
it
don't
doesn't take
contribute
that long
anything to
remember.
society.
One of the most important decisions you make as a parent is trying to get into that quality childcare, or trying to figure out what's best for your
Here it
child.
comes. He's
or
going to
trying
tell
make
us
it
how
work
they're
with
going to
your
want to
schedule.
provide
Maybe you're on a
child
swing
care for
shift,
people for
and how to
free.
make that work as a family. Childcare in this country, in this state, was in crisis long before the pandemic.
Right, because too many
during the
people are
pandemic,
working outside of the
It
home.
was those childcare workers were the first ones on the front lines to ensure that our children had a safe place to go.
Well, here it
and
comes.
Their parents, if
How
you
much?
remember
How many
early
million?
on, when
How
we
many
kept
million? You
those
guys start
open
entering
to
your
make
guesses.
sure
How
that
many million he
police
wants to give to
and
child care
firefighters
workers?
and nurses and
How many
doctors
million?
had a place to take
Closest
their children
bet gets a
safely
free
so that they
keychain.
could do the work to keep the rest
How
of
many
us
million?
going.
The closest estimate gets a free key fob.
Now, I want to thank all of you. Minnesota clearly protected our child care industry better
How many million?
than any
Come on,
other
guys,
state
start
in the
entering your
nation.
guesses.
But
You
both
get a free
parents
key-
and the
keychain.
number of especially women who have to leave the workforce over this issue, and the number of providers who can't make the economic numbers work behind this, we have a responsibility. Business
Share
is
this out,
asking
guys.
us to work on this, and we have a lot of bipartisan support to build the workforce behind the workforce that makes things go. When people are thinking about where they're going to have a business, or thinking about where
Build
they're
the
going to live,
workforce
to
behind
have
the
Minnesota be
workforce.
known as we were during the pandemic and come out
Ooh,
of it,
Judson
a
says
state
38
that is
million.
committed to childcare and early education is a hiring bonus to get people here and to create lives that they want to live. So I thank all of you for the work you did.
Come on, get to it. How many millions are you going to want to throw at him? Come on. How many million out of that
There's
10
a
billion?
lot of experts in here on this issue, and I'd like to talk about home health care workers a little bit, just because
Oh,
I
man,
think
he's
this
not
is
gonna
one
tell
of the
us yet.
hardest and most important
Judson,
jobs
remember,
in the
you're
state.
the only one that guessed.
These personal care assistants, as many in this body know, are the folks that help
Ooh,
our
Fisherman
family,
says 100
our
million.
friends, our neighbors with disabilities live fulfilling and independent lives. I've had the privilege of seeing that firsthand, how important, how fulfilling, and just how caring this profession is. A couple years ago, I had the opportunity to spend a day with Deb Housey, a personal care attendant. She cared for my friend Jay, who's a veteran and has MS. And I spent that day.
Did she ask you to
watching
leave so you
the
wouldn't
care,
disrespect your
the
veteran
hard
friend?
work, the labor that goes into making this happen, all of that to give Jay the highest quality of life with independent living and respect. These are the heroes that make
They're not
Minnesota a caring
heroes.
state.
Can we
and have a
stop using that
responsibility to
term?
make
It
sure we
means
take care of
nothing
them.
now.
So Deb, thank you.
You're not a hero for doing your job. Showing up and taking care of a guy and wiping their butt and making a macaroni and cheese doesn't make you a hero. I appreciate the work that you do, but it doesn't make you a
And
hero.
there's a whole lot of folks sitting out here that I hope
Everybody's a
Minnesota
hero.
knows.
No one's a hero.
Understand this very clearly, and you need to get credit for what you did. Last year, we finally gave Deb and other personal care assistants a raise. This year, we're giving another one. This budget surplus gives us an opportunity to help correct that profession, to make sure not only people like Deb can stay in it, but that we're attracting the best and brightest into it where they can make a living
You
wage.
can't give
So
anybody a
I
raise.
congratulate all of you.
So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to tell these care centers and other organizations how much they have to pay these people, and then we're going to take credit for it. That's called an unfunded mandate, people. Unfunded mandate. State can demand that they do it, and they don't have to do a damn thing to make sure it ever happens, but they can take credit for it when it happens.
I think these are the stories maybe Minnesotans don't hear. You all did this. You're the experts in this. You worked on it. There's folks in here who spent decades working on this issue. There's folks that know the regulations inside and out. And what we know is if we make some of these changes, we strengthen that healthcare workforce. I would argue we need to start thinking about that broadly.
We need
know
to gut
that there's professions and
healthcare
all
in the
businesses
United States.
are experiencing a workforce shortage.
It's corporate
We can't afford to
healthcare.
leave
It's not
anyone
even
on the
healthcare, it's
sidelines.
sick care.
And
So
here in
stop
Minnesota,
praising them for how
we know
wonderful
how to do
they
that.
are.
We saw wonderful public-private partnerships, and our universities and community colleges came together around this issue. When we saw the latest Omicron and Delta surge this last November till March, we had a severe shortage across the spectrum of care providers. But one of the ways we
Could it
move
be
more
because a
people in
bunch of people
quicker
got
that were
fired for
qualified
refusing to take
was
the
changing
jab?
and going about
I mean,
recruiting
could
for the
be.
Certified Nursing
Could be.
Assistance Program. And we created a program here in Minnesota with a goal to train, certify, and place 1,000 CNAs. These are the people that are in our long-term care facilities. They are in our veterans homes caring for our heroes, and they're the ones that keep the hospitals functioning. And we set that goal for 90 days to try and get 1,000 of them in. We went out and recruited people. You all helped, and the money that we used from the Recovery Act was able to do some inventive things about getting just
Recovery
bus
Act,
fare for
also
some
known
folks
as
who got
another
off the
waste of
sidelines,
money that was
got
taken
their
from hard-earning
training, got their
taxpayers.
certificate, and are now in a new profession making a living and caring for Minnesotans. We not only got that 1,000, we got about 1,400. That program worked. Now the funding's coming to an end. I would ask us all, I think this is one of those areas, we have a budget in front of us. Let's fund that program, and then let's use your creativity to continue to figure out how we build that broader workforce. That's what Minnesotans are expecting us to do.
You want to build a broader
we have those
workforce,
folks in
return
those
the money to the
facilities
people that paid it
doing the
in
work that
instead
we
of
know they
handing
need
it
to
out
do.
in
So
checks
thank you all
or
for
creating
that.
more programs. Anytime the state creates a program, the least or less effective it becomes.
And as we start talking about tackling these problems, that
Have you
the
looked at the
pandemic
roads in
created,
Minnesota? We can't even
I
keep
do
the
think
roads
it's
safe.
important to pause, to acknowledge, and we've talked about it. We've learned, we've listened, we got some right, we get some wrong. But through it all, there's people that were asked to do this work day in and day out.
I need more alcohol.
And when we had shortages of those people in long-term care facilities, we had to set up a way. Minnesota's the only one, Critical Care Coordinating Center, the C4. When I go to meet with other states, and
The
many of you do
C4,
the same
boy, that's
thing
a
too, seems like it would be
I
a
won't say
really
it, except for
common
in
thing that would
Minecraft.
happen. A one-stop place that you could find and place a hospital bed anywhere in the state, and that we could move people where we needed them, and we could do the same thing with staff. We had many, many nights, sometimes dozens of long-term care facilities that COVID outbreaks decimated the entire staff, and there was going to be no one there in the morning.
It's
to care for
because
those
you
residents.
put COVID-infected
It was at
people
that
in
time
those
that we
places
asked
that infected
folks
the
at the Minnesota
staff.
Department of Health under Commissioner
infected
Jan
everybody
Malcolm's
around them.
leadership to step up and create a plan. And I want to say, we said here tonight, still round the clock, these employees are looking, working, and
love
trying
you,
to
Lori.
figure out where will COVID come from next, and how do we make sure we're ahead of it before it happens.
It's probably
So I wanna
in the
give a
water,
heartfelt
if you
thank you to
listen to
all
Brian
of those
Artis.
folks, especially those state employees who made that coordinating care,
No,
made the
stop thanking
bringing the
state
hospitals
employees.
together and
Let the
bringing
private
a unified
sector
approach
handle
to
these
how
things.
we did this. I want to say thank you to them.
The state needs to get out of all of this. Oh my gosh, would you guys sit down? You're going to break poor Governor Dayton. His legs can't keep doing this all night.
And while they coordinated it, though, somebody had to do the work. And in that case, it was the women and men of the Minnesota National Guard. I want to say thank you to General Sean Menke and the entire Minnesota National Guards. These last 2 years, you've stepped up in ways that we could have never imagined. You've gone into long-term care facilities. You've gone into our veterans' homes.
Where
You've been at
were they
testing
during
and
the
vaccination
riots? That's
sites.
what I want to know.
And throughout that pandemic, you were there
Just out
every
of
step
curiosity,
the way to help Minnesotans
while
in their
Minneapolis
time
was
of
burning and St. Paul
Just
was
today,
burning and
Under
and
Chapter 12
continue to
authority,
burn, by
I've
the way.
authorized
Where
100
are they?
National
Where are
Guard
they?
to
Where's the
provide
National
emergency
Guard
support
now?
for flooding operations in northwestern
Oh, wait,
Minnesota.
that's right.
They'll leave their homes.
You don't want a bunch of
they'll pack
18-year-old
up their
cooks
gear,
with guns
they'll
walking
go to the
streets.
armory, they'll receive their mission, and they will protect homes, they will protect lives, and they will
No, they
do it
didn't. You
in the most
literally didn't let
professional
them do
manner.
it.
And then they will
And then your
return
daughter
back,
tweeted out
and they
their
will get
location
guard
to all
training,
for
and they might be
Antifa buddies.
asked by the United States government to provide security for this nation. No one does this better, and the people of Minnesota owe an incredible debt of gratitude to the people of the Minnesota National Guard.
No, we
With that,
don't.
General,
we pay
I
them
salute
to
you.
do those things, and you didn't let them do that. Oh my gosh, what a fake! Did you see that stupid salute? I feel so bad for this general. I feel so bad for him. He's got no choice. He has to show deference and respect to this guy. But what a fake. You didn't deploy the soldiers that needed to be deployed during the riots, and now I'm supposed to sit here and thank them for going into a hospital.
And right alongside those Minnesota warriors and our patriots, right alongside
Oh, you don't
them
know
every step
anything
of the
about
way,
patriots.
was the women and men of the Minnesota State Patrol under the leadership of Colonel Matt Langer. Along with our DNR conservation officers, you've worked across this state to keep our communities safe, and you've taken on unprecedented
The DNR?
challenges. Also, Minnesota is incredibly and indebted to you. Thank you, Colonel.
The DNR? The DNR. The DNR helped us during the coup? And you know what the Minnesota State Patrol under the auspices, the Department of Public Safety did? They sent in undercover officers to spy on small business owners and have them charged with crimes. Yeah. Where was the State Patrol when Hutch got drunk and could have killed somebody? Where were they?
All of you came here to make a difference in your communities, and we bring a wealth of life experiences. And I think we all know these issues are tough, and they're tough nationally, they're tough in Minnesota. Public safety is a complex and evolving issue in 2022. It's being exacerbated by a workforce challenge in the pandemic. And whether it's traffic deaths, crime, wildfires, severe weather, our law enforcement agencies across the state have stepped up to keep us safe in some of the most difficult conditions. Our top priority, and my top priority, is always the health and safety of Minnesotans. And I've been traveling across the state, and no community is exactly the same, but listening to local mayors, elected
Health and
officials,
safety?
listening to public
Health
safety
and safety.
officials,
Let me worry about my
listening to
health.
community leaders.
Why don't
And
you
I'm
do
talking
something about
it.
the
We
rampant
all
crime in
make
the Twin
debates
Cities?
here. I'm proposing in the budget that we have in front of you, $300 million investment in these communities. In some of those communities, it's going to make sure that they can hire the law enforcement officers they need.
$300 million
In other
investment.
communities,
The
it's going to be
government
to
doesn't
modernize their
invest.
911 system, which is not just
The
a phone
government,
system.
the government
It's a way of making sure
confiscates,
that those trained
the state
professionals who
confiscates
operate
from
that
the people
send out
and
the
then
right
spends
responses.
the money
If
as
it's a
it
mental
sees
health
fit,
crisis, if it's a
mostly
fire,
to
or
pad
if
its
it's a
pockets
situation
and
that
pad its
requires law
voting.
enforcement. Some communities are talking about buying unmarked vehicles to transport domestic violence survivors and children so they're not back of a locked police car as they move that dangerous situation. And some are talking about getting new equipment and new ways of doing things. Our local officials know we have a surplus that allows them to do that.
You know
and
what
we
would
also
stop a
have
lot
the
of the crime?
capacity
If
to
we
work
actually
with those
prosecuted
community
criminals
groups
in
that
the
are
state of
showing a
Minnesota.
huge
Prosecuted real
reduction,
criminals.
not just in those crimes,
We have sex
but a
offenders that get
reduction
less
in the
time
number of
in
youth that are
lockup than
going in
Lisa
violent
Hansen did.
directions. So this has a capacity. Public safety can
Here,
be there.
hey, how
We
about
can make this
prosecuting
happen,
Hutch?
but we
Maybe he
need
should have
to
done some
agree
time.
that we can define
Never
the
did say a
problem.
word about Hutch when
We
he
can
got
set
drunk,
out some
right?
goals.
Could it
We
be
can work
because
together
he's
to get
part of
there.
your party?
This is not one of those issues that it's enough to point out the problem. We need concrete solutions with measurable results that keep Minnesotans safe and make sure that
results.
justice is served. We can do that. We can do that. We can do it.
Yeah, how about getting tough on criminals, real criminals? That would start to crack down on some of this. $300 million spread out around the state isn't going to do a damn thing.
And I'll note, if we really are serious about getting tough on crime, then we need to get tough on the causes of crime, because that's where it begins.
I was wondering how you guys were doing.
That means moving back
It
upstream.
was a year ago tomorrow that we met.
Tackling economic
Remember that,
inequality
Renee?
issues, talking about housing, talking about gun violence, and then talking about issues like mental health and
I'm
addiction.
really sorry about your dad. I didn't mean that.
This issue of addiction, especially around opioids and fentanyl, is devastating our country and our state. There are few families that don't know of or been touched by this. In this very body, we have two individuals in Senator Eaton and Representative Baker who turned personal tragedy that is almost unimaginable into becoming national leaders with real solutions that are making a difference in saving lives. We should be listening to them. We should be investing in those things that make a difference. And Minnesotans are crying out that we tackle this issue. The solutions are in this room. They're in Minnesota, and it unites us all together. Not only are we going to reduce tragedies in families, We're going to reduce crime because these sales are driving the crime.
No,
They're
the
driving
sales aren't
things that are
driving the
happening.
crime. What's
That is a
driving the
common
crime
goal
is the
that all
slaps
of
on
us
the
have in
wrist
here.
that these
We have the
freaking criminals are
resources to help
getting and
make
getting
that
released
happen,
back
and
onto
we
the
can
street.
start
Or
impacting lives in a
when
real
people
way.
like the
So I
sitting
ask
vice
us,
president of
we
the
listen
United
to
States
you. We're trying to learn
builds up
from
a
you.
bond
At the
and
state
bail
level,
fund
we're
so
getting
that
ready to
criminals
hire
can
a
be
director
released for
of the
actual
work that'll be done
crimes.
here, but it is going to be these bodies that create the systemic changes. It's going to be these bodies that come up with the real long-term solutions. If we do that, we will save lives, reduce crime, and make Minnesota the state we know it can be. And the leadership is here. This is one of the most bipartisan and hopeful things we can do together. And I would argue no state has the expertise. This was led, the idea of mental health parity, of being a part of all of this issue, was with Paul Wellstone and Jim Ramstad. It has never known partisanship, but it's no one's solution. Minnesota was the state that pushed on this issue. Minnesota was the state that set up some of the earliest treatment courts. Minnesota was the state that knows we must do better around this issue. So I ask all of you, whether it's taking care of the people who take care of our kids, whether it's taking care of the people who take care of our seniors, our most vulnerable,
Here comes the money.
whether it's taking care of public safety and the folks who do this work and reducing crime, we can do all those things. We can do that this session. And then we can do what many of you came here to do. Think about that brighter future. It's Minnesota, for goodness sakes. Let's skate to where the puck's gonna be, not where it is. That's what we can do next. That's what all of you came here to do. And the big ideas are out there. So I would say, for most of us, what those big ideas look like starts with education.
Oh boy, here we go. He's
Education's
going to
what
tell us how
brought
he's going to
many of us here
indoctrinate
to
our children
Minnesota,
into being
myself
weirdos.
included. I know it's a disappointment to some of you, but it did bring me here. My wife and Gwen and I.
My
we
wife and Gwen
devoted
and
a
I?
lifetime
Well,
to
I
this.
wonder what
We
that
taught
means.
Together for many years. We taught at Mankato West, and Gwen's still involved in education. And I know many of you have done that.
I wonder if she
But
could
all
teach
of
you
us are
some
touched
things,
by
like
it.
how to
Our own
shut up.
education, our children's education. We all want to have the best opportunities, the best resources, and the best outcomes for our students. And I can tell you, we have the capacity now. We've done it. We passed one of the largest increases in spending in the last budget cycle in Minnesota history. And you did it in a bipartisan manner to make a difference for our students. We've got more to be done.
I
Now, I'm gonna have to
despise
tell you,
bipartisanship.
I am here tonight with two teachers who inspire me. Val and Lynn Whipple are here.
Oh,
They
here we
happen
go.
to
Here we
also
go.
be my in-laws, lifelong teachers and coaches. So I
You're
want to say
talking about
thank
it.
you. They should get applause. As Lynn knows, behind every governor is an astonished mother-in-law. So
Yeah, well,
you know it in this room. The experts are in this room too.
you guys hear that? I think
Education begins at
Nebraska's
birth,
whistling
and
and
it goes
trying to
through
call him
lifetimes.
home.
Minnesota should be the best state in the country to raise a family, and we're working to make that a reality. We're making sure that our early childhood education is the best in the country by investing in everything from quality childcare to pre-K.
People, you got to
and early
understand when he
scholarships.
says invest,
We're making sure that
he's
every
not.
child
The state
has that
can't
quality
invest.
start, and every
All it can do
parent
is
has a safe
confiscate
place
and
knows that their child is being
redistribute.
taken
That's
care
it.
of.
That's it.
We put a budget in
Confiscate
front of you
and hand out.
that
That's
continues
all
to
the state
focus
can
on
do.
that workforce.
The state
that
cannot
continues to
invest.
focus on those early
It
starts.
doesn't invest in
And
roads.
with the
It doesn't
capacity we're
invest
in, I remind
in
everyone,
infrastructure.
without raising
It
taxes,
confiscates
we have the
and
capacity right now to
redistributes.
expand pre-K to 23,000
And normally,
more
where it
children, which is going
redistributes
to
is
change
to
lives
the
for
people that
generations to
donate
come.
the most to whatever the political power base might be at the time. Fisherman, you better not leave me hanging here. You better stick around.
And once we get them on that healthy start, once we get them on that path for success, we need to make sure that we're continuing to invest.
The
I'm
best
proud of
path
what we did
to
last year
success
in our
for
education
children in
budget,
the United
but there's
States
more
right
to
now
do.
when it comes
We
to
have an
education is to
opportunity
get
with
them
this
out of the
budget,
government-run schools.
fiscally responsibly, to finally, for the first time, fully fund our schools the way we need to.
How much more money do you need? How much more money do you need in the school districts? They tax us here. You tax us. They take money from us. They raise our property tax value so they can justify
And while I talked about the teachers,
taxing
every
us
one of us
more,
knows there's
and then
so
you want to
many
give them
things
more.
that make for a
We
healthy
throw
school.
millions
There's
of
so many
dollars,
things that give
millions
that
of
child
dollars
that start,
at
as
the
we
school
talked about it.
districts, and
Whether
we
it's
still
stable
have failing
housing,
school districts
or
in
in
the
the
state of
case of what we're
Minnesota.
knowing now,
The school
mental
district that I
health
live
care.
in almost got taken
Minnesota
over
does
by the
so
state
many
because
things
it couldn't
right,
produce
but
results,
we're
and
on
it
the
was spending
sidelines on
millions.
this issue of our counselors and our mental health professionals in our schools. We have the capacity to finally start to get there. We shouldn't be 49th or 50th for the number of those professionals that are in there. We should be near the top because the return on the investment of tackling the issues that our children are facing moves us so far ahead. So we have the capacity to make sure every child gets that. And what I would ask is, let's also think about this, and many of you have worked hard on this. Outside of school, let's make sure there's enough children's inpatient beds for children in crisis, that they're not in an emergency room or they're not being shipped to Iowa to try and care for this. Let's create that infrastructure here.
You want to know why so many children are in a mental health crisis right now? It's because you yanked them away from their life. You taught them to be afraid for the last 2 years.
And I'll just say, as we're thinking about all those things, I put a proposal in front of you. And all of us in this chamber are incredibly proud. We feed the world. We're the home of Norman Borlaug in the Green Revolution. Our producers do an incredible job. And because of that, we have the most abundant, safest, and affordable food supply in the world. But we still have people go to bed hungry, and we still have children do that. One of the ways that we can tackle this is, and we have the capacity to do that, every child who walks through that door of that school deserves to have a breakfast and a lunch. And I can tell you this, it is long past time. Let's get rid of the different colored lunch tickets and any shaming around this, and let's just provide meals to our children. We can do that. We can do that.
I'm glad to see that the Supreme Court's not standing up on this for once. No, it's not the job of the state to feed people. Maybe if you stop taxing us to death, parents could afford to feed their
So we get them off to a healthy
kids.
start. We get our kids in a safe place. We provide the resources necessary.
If you want the kids in a
demand
safe place, don't send them
results
into a
and
public
outcomes,
school.
because we all know the statistics. We rank as first in the nation until we start disaggregating the data to our children of color.
Oh,
We have
here
a
it
moral
comes.
responsibility to fix that, the same way we do in healthcare disparities, the same way we do in home ownership disparities. But the
How do you
real
fix
reason,
home
too, that
ownership
goes along with
disparities?
that,
We're going
we're
to
going
force
to
people
have
to buy a
create
house?
that workforce
Like,
of the
hey, I'm
future,
sorry,
and
excuse
no
me,
one
you are
can
a
be left on
minority.
the
We're going to
sideline.
require you
So
to
as we
buy a
start
home
thinking about
because we
paths
have a
to that
disparity
future
in home
workforce,
ownership.
we need to prepare it today. And that path looks different for all children. Some may go with a 4-year degree. Some may go in that direction. Others we know now, and there's schools out there and legislators on both sides of the aisle advocating for this career training that makes a difference and an impact in students' lives.
How about
There's
we get
no
the schools
reason
out of the business
that
of telling
we shouldn't
kids
be
where
the
they
state
should go to
that
school
manufactures the
when they
microchips
graduate
in
from
short
public school?
supply.
How about we let
started
kids
here.
decide on their
We
own?
still are one of this country's major manufacturers of microchips. We have the opportunity to have modern manufacturing, modern opportunity, and use our skilled trade professionals who are here to make a difference. That's how we have to start thinking about it. Get them on a good start. You know that. Invest where we can. Demand outcomes and then create pathways to the future.
When you
That
demand
makes
an
us
outcome,
competitive.
you
That creates
force
lives of
force
joy.
results.
And
That's
I'll
what
tell
it
you
is.
this too. We need to think
Called
about this.
core curriculum.
COVID upset everything around who
No.
can work from home.
The
who
COOF didn't
can't.
do this.
The income disparity grew during that time. But the one thing that's clear amongst people,
Income disparity grew because you were
the
stealing
workforce
money from
shortage
people.
is demanding folks to think and act differently about what it means to have a career and be a joyful, healthy work environment. So I would make the case to all of you, if we're going to recruit and retain that quality workforce after we've trained them, we better make sure that we're able to keep them here. And what I know is no one should have to make a decision between a paycheck and taking a child to the doctor. No one should make a difference.
Oh, I don't like the direction that this is heading. When you start talking like that, that means there's going to be
Don't
more
ask
handouts.
me, ask 190 other nations and every Fortune 500 company. They invest in paid family leave. Large corporations
He's getting
do
mad.
because it retains a quality workforce and it increases productivity. That's what this is about. The bill we put in front of you offers 12 weeks of paid family leave to care for that child. We know those first months, how important they are. And we know that people, when they have this,
I'm going
return
to
those
believe that
employers and
you
stay
really
longer. And we
care
also
about the
have the
kids
ability
when
to
you
accrue
ban
48 hours,
abortion in the
if
state
you're
of
sick or
Minnesota.
you need to go to the doctor. These are just not only morally the right thing to do, they're
Oh, you have no
economically the
grounds to
things
talk
that's going
about
to grow our
morality,
economy,
mister.
keep our workforce here,
You
and
believe in
make this
unfettered
state a
morality,
destination
and you
of where you
believe
want to
in
live. So as we're creating this workforce
allowing
of the
children to
future,
decide for
let's create that
themselves to be on
workplace of the
puberty
future. Let's
blockers.
follow the lead
So
of some of our most successful private partners who are making this happen right now. We can just make
let
sure
the
that no
private
small
sector
businesses are
decide
left
that for
behind.
themselves.
We can make sure that employees have the opportunity to go where they want, and employers and entrepreneurs can start the businesses they want to. Pass this paid family leave bill. And let's
Until
make
you
a
decide
difference.
that they're not an essential business and we can shut them down, right? I'm actually kind of glad to see the Republican side of the aisle is not standing up for a lot of this stuff. I'm a little shocked, but I'm glad.
Again, we're not going to agree on everything, but I do.
I don't
think
agree
at the
with you on
core of this,
anything other than it's
we are
time for
getting
you to be
close
done.
on this. I believe with all my heart, everyone in this building loves this state with the same passion as any of the rest of us. And I also believe
that's not
that
true.
everybody
It's not
in this
true.
building wants what's best for our children. We just have a different idea how to do that sometimes.
No, we have a
And
different
we
idea of
also
what it
know
means,
that
not how to do
workforce,
it.
How do we get there? How do we listen? How do we be creative? How do we go
I don't
with
need
one
you to be
another?
creative. I need
and
you
will
to
make
shut
the
up and
case,
go
If we're
home.
going to do that, and we're going to build a state where we have the best qualified workforce, we have folks ready to go, we have quality education
Stay
systems.
out of the
We need
workforce,
to
and
build
the
that future
qualifications
and move
will be
Minnesota
there. Stop
forward,
trying to tell us
and
what
also
qualified
protect our
means.
incredible natural resources.
Just like we don't need
What
you to
I'm
tell us
saying
what
is
it
we're
means
going
to be essential.
challenged over and many of you know we're already challenged. There's many in this
Oh,
room
yeah,
I
we
know
are.
feel it
You're
may be
definitely
too late.
challenged.
Tackling this issue around
I
climate.
think they do like a polar
The
plunge
issue
for
about
people like you
making
every
sure
year.
that what is hitting, and it doesn't hit us all equally, the damage being done by climate, the amount of
Oh, my
cost that it is
gosh.
to our infrastructure, to our health, and to our people. And if we have this incredible workforce and we have this incredibly healthy state, we'll have the folks who can be at the heart of, and in many cases, our agricultural
damage
producers are
being
leading
done
the
by the
way,
climate.
sequestering carbon and moving in new sustainable manners. So I would ask all of us as we think
Sequestering
about this,
carbon.
we are blessed.
You guys
with
hear that?
incredible
You're going to now
natural
be paying
resources.
for your
Certainly
carbon
with our
to be
people, but
put
certainly
up in
on
a
our
hotel
land.
room while it
This
waits
is
to go
not
on to a
an
jury
issue
trial.
that forces us to choose an ideological position. It is simply happening, and there are solutions out there, free market solutions. It's why many businesses are adapting these that can start moving us to a sustainable future and can start protecting the environment that we need. That's the Minnesota that we need. Protect our clean air, protect our water, protect our opportunity for our children to live the lives that many of us got to live so that that's there tomorrow. We can do that. We need to do that. And our children are telling us we must do it.
No,
Let's get this done.
Since when do we let the kids tell us what to do? If we let the kids tell us what to do, we'd eat at McDonald's every day and we'd only play with blue blocks and dinosaurs.
We can do
Or
it.
pink
Let's
blocks
prepare the
and
workforce.
purple
Let's
dinosaurs.
tackle the issues. Let's try and find common ground. It's not going to be
I don't
in
want
total,
common ground with you. I don't want to be anywhere
we're not
near
gonna
the
be in
ground you're
total
standing
alignment,
on.
But I do know
Especially
that
when
those
God
core
decides to
values
judge you,
are there.
frankly.
And I do know that there's good ideas coming out. So I know this is a pretty ambitious agenda.
You literally haven't really
Because
said much
Minnesotans
about what
are
your actual
ambitious.
agenda is, other than a
And I know
hint that
this
you're
is
going to
things
spend
that's going
millions
to
and
make
millions
us
of our
talk about
dollars.
things that are uncomfortable. And I know there's a temptation to continue to get into our own corners, or
Yeah.
to try and demonize. You talk to folks too. You move just a little further out of your bubble, and Minnesotans.
And
just
what
say,
that
"Can't you
means
guys get along
for
and figure out how to
conservatives
fix
is
some
you
of
move
these things?
further to the
Can't
left
you
because
figure out
we're
how to
not
reach a
coming towards you
compromise
at
on
all.
that?" I would make the case that I think this body is better prepared than any other one in the United States. You've proven it. You've made it happen. When I look around,
Oh, there for a
and I
second, I
look
was
to
hoping you got
myself,
lost.
where can I do better? Where have I not
Resign. That would be
reached
the
out
best
enough?
place for
Where
you
have I
to do better.
disrespected the expertise that could have been there? And I take my lesson, because I think many of us do. You watch people you admire.
Oh, boy.
You watch how people respond. You watch how people deal with one another, and you try and take the best of that and incorporate it in. And this daunting division that's in front of us doesn't exist all the time everywhere. And you don't have to look very far
The
to find
division
incredible
is caused by
examples
you
of
and your
how we
ilk.
want our state to work without the division,
The Marxist left
even
wants
in
a
some of the most
division.
difficult times. Recently, many of you know, the small town of Teope was struck by a
Oh
tornado.
boy, here we go.
The newspaper headline the next day across the headline literally said, and it was totally accurate, half the town was gone in those moments. I drove down there, met with a local representative who was already dirty up to the knees by helping people clean, was there comforting children and moving on, and surveyed that damage. Met a couple people. First one I met was Mayor Mary Huntley. Now, like so many mayors who are here, and many of you who were mayors, that's a job of getting stuff done. They literally make things work. And the mayor wake up that morning of the tornado, probably thinking about, do we need to do the street repair? Is the water main still good? Is the water treatment plant new? How are we going to make this happen? And the things that happen in everyday life. The day ended with Mayor Huntley helping with others remove the oldest citizen of Teope, her mother, 94-year-old Huntley, and making sure that every single one of those citizens had a home to sleep in that was safe that night, had enough food to eat, and had clean water. She was doing all of this from the command post that was set up that drew responders from across the state. Everywhere I looked, Winona County, Dodge County, it didn't matter. They were all there. The Adams American Legion was stuffed to the gills with donations from Minnesotans.
And they did it on
state.
their own without the state having
And
to
in
step in and
that
tell them what to
command
do.
post, in the mayor's kitchen, with a sense of optimism, she said, we're down, but we're going to come back better than ever before. Mayor Huntley's with us tonight. I'd like to say thank you for that leadership.
Oh my gosh, she's got to do it too. She's learned well.
Yes, it is.
And just so you know, the people that are on the ground there, besides the mayor and her mother, will tell you that Walz had no time for
She also
anyone
told me
else.
there might
It
have been
was
an
a
easier
photo
way to
op.
get her mother to come live with her, but now she is. So welcome. And I don't know if everything happens by chance or the interconnectedness we all feel. On the way home from that visit, I got a call from my friend, Chairman Kevin Jensvold of the Yellow Medicine people of the Upper Sioux. And he called and he saw or heard we were down in Teope. And he asked me if I knew, and he said, Teope is named after a Dakota leader. The name Teope means wounded in battle, but the man Teope was known for his strength and resilience. I think I speak for all of us when I say to the people of our Teope, while you're wounded, you will certainly heal. Your strength and resilience, Mayor, was on display. The gift that you gave to your people is a great example for all of us, and thank you for allowing me to be there. And there are, even in the darkest nights, there's a sunrise the next morning, and you're figuring it out. So thank you for being that example.
This is so disgusting. So
We're
much
gritty, we're
pandering.
resilient, we're strong and diverse. We may argue, but I think we
Does
understand
anybody
the blessings
realize
that's
that
been given to
everything
us.
he just said there had made no
No matter
sense?
how
It
divided
was
it may
nothing
feel at
but
times,
a word salad,
still connected.
ultimately.
From Chairman Jensvold, people who've been on this land long before any of us, to Mayor Huntley in a small town thriving even in the midst of disaster.
I think the
To
white
each of
folks
us
should
in the
have to
divided
abandon
legislature
Teope
during
then,
some of the most
since it's
divisive
named
and
after a
hateful times
native
we've
chief.
seen in our politics. You've all figured out a way to find some solutions to some issues. That hasn't always made you happy, hasn't always made any of us that, but Minnesotans are seeing the fruits of that. We're tackling some of these issues. And so what I would ask of all of us, my challenge, and I'm saying it to myself, to make sure that
Shut
I
up and
continue
go
to do
home?
it.
Is that
And
what
when
you're
I
saying?
don't, publicly try and
hope
do the
you're
best
saying
I
shut up
can,
and go home.
is let's try and lead by the example of these servant leaders, whether it's Shaletta Brundage, whether it's Mayor Huntley, whether it's Kevin Jensvold.
Oh,
and the
that's
countless stories
rich
each and every
coming
one of
from
have and look
you.
at every single
Servant
day.
leaders. You spent
We can
2
show our
years running this
constituents that we
state
can
with
move
an
together.
iron
And I would ask
fist and
this.
brought your rod down on anybody who
Why don't we show
didn't
the rest
do
of the
what you
country at
wanted,
this time that's really just
and encourage
aching
people
for
like
a
Keith
lack of
Ellison and
chaos,
Kelly Don Martinez and Chief
a
J.D.
lack of
Carlson
civility,
and
a
others
lack of answers?
around the
Why don't we show 'em
state to
that we possess
crack
that
down
capacity?
on anyone
We're not all going to leave
who
real
got
happy
on the
about
line,
that,
and you
because
want to
it's gonna mean
talk
we're gonna have
about
to compromise
servant
on issues we
leaders.
don't think that highly of. But I'm not asking you to compromise on your deepest core values. I'm asking
you
us to
are.
attack the things that we can do right now.
You want
to
the
help
right
those
to
working
compromise
families.
on their core
Let's
values.
make sure we got our small businesses ready. Let's tackle this issue of our workforce issues and our public safety. And then let's try and put in place a
We wouldn't
21st
have a
century
public
workforce
safety issue if you
that's
would
solving problems.
stop ignoring
I truly
crime.
believe it, and we've done it, that we can do this as well as any place in the country, but not one of us is going to do it alone. And by the nature of the voters, we're divided.
We're
If we
divided
try and
because
do
you're an
the
evil
work we know we
man.
were sent here to do, I don't believe there's anything we can't conquer. So I want to thank you all for being back in this space. I want to thank each of you for being the servant leaders that you are. And I want to thank you for sitting here so patiently to listen. I know you've missed this over the years, but
No,
it
no one's
matters.
missed this.
It matters, and I feel
I just
hopeful.
enjoyed
So
it
may
because
God
it's
bless
been fun
each
to
of
make
you,
fun of
and may
you.
God bless Minnesota.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen. See, this is what happens when somebody tell Peggy that she I don't know what does she look like? She looks like something out of a Willy Wonka story, like the ongoing saga of Willy Wonka and the polka dot pants. That's what it is. Like what on earth? Like where is that a good decision? You know, that reminds me of the scene from Billy Madison. The whole room is now dumber for having listened to that. Absolutely nothing you said made any sense and even resembled an answer. I made it fun though, Lori. I like how you said my wife and Gwen. That was awesome. One of the best lines of the night. And my wife and Gwen. Oh, look, she's got a twin.
I call on Senator Dames. Senator Dames moves that the joint convention do now adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails and I declare the convention adjourned. Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn.
Representative Winkler moves that the House do now adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Yes.
Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails. The House stands adjourned until Monday, April 25th, 2022 at 11 a.m.
Oh. All right, folks. I'm going to close off here just in just a second. I don't even know what to say. I know it probably wasn't the raucous laugh riot that everybody was hoping it would be. I would have actually been a lot of fun to have somebody else in here with me and coming up with some one-liners. But you notice, okay, so he didn't propose any amount of money to go to the child care. So how do we decide who wins? I guess I'm closest because I didn't come up with a number. I don't know. I have to figure this out now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when you put a talking head in a suit and you give him a script. He just says a lot of stuff that ultimately is going to end up costing us a lot more money and probably a lot of liberty. So I really don't know what to say other than he said nothing. He literally said nothing. He did a lot of pandering. He did a lot of appealing to people for their votes is what he did. But other than that, he said nothing. He didn't say anything of substance. And I'm not necessarily going to tell you that I believe that a Republican or a conservative who's been at it for a while would have said much different. That's why we need such a fundamental change in how we manage people who are elected into positions like this. They think that the very fact that they're uttering words makes what they're saying important. And it's not. They literally don't have any substance. There's no substance to what they're saying. But we've done this. We only have one group of people to blame for this, ladies and gentlemen, and that's ourselves. And I don't care if you believe the elections were stolen. I don't, whatever the case might be. We only have one group of people to blame, and that's ourselves, because we haven't been paying enough attention for the last 15, 20 years. And if there's been one good thing that's come out of the last 2 years at all, it's that our people are being awakened, not woke, they're being awakened. And they're now starting to pay some attention to what's going on around them. So I hope that this wasn't too boring for you all. I thought it'd be interesting to listen into what he had to say, but I knew that it'd be more fun if we were doing it together and people were chatting in the chat, and I was doing some of my normal snarky, smart alecky comments as we went through. And just so you know, as a Christian, I do believe it's perfectly fine to pray imprecatory prayers against those that you oppose. Absolutely believe it 100%. It is not wrong to pray for the downfall of somebody who is wicked and evil. At all. And if you can objectively define wicked and evil, then pray for the downfall of that person. No problem with that. I am humbled that tomorrow is 2 years of the of my show, of my channel. There will be a video coming out tomorrow morning to talk about that and talk about where we're going from here. I can't thank all of you enough. Renee especially. You have been a friend since that day, April 25th of 2020, out in front of the residence where we allow the governor to live, where you told your story. If you guys didn't see the link up above, Renee was one of my first man on the street interviews, and she has stayed in touch with me throughout the last 2 years. So, Renee, I'm very sorry to hear about your dad. I really am. And I can't say that enough. We owe it to one another to start being neighbors again. You need to start having these conversations with your friends, with your next door neighbors, across the fence, across the sidewalk, whatever the case might be. It's time for us to take our state back. And what you heard today was more pandering to get people to vote for the left's agenda. And we have to stand in the way of that. So, my friends, until next time, I appreciate you, and I appreciate all of the support in every way that you guys offer it. Sic semper tyrannis.
We are going for liftoff in T-minus 30.
Stand by for further instructions, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment.
Secondary guidance systems engaged.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, it will be on my mark.
All systems are a go. All systems are a go.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, you are over the target. You are authorized to fire at will.